Oregon. This is NBC 16 News at 5:30.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for NBC 16 at 5:30. I'm Alan Matthews. As early as this Friday, Oregon counties could start phase one of Governor Kate Brown's reopening plan. As of now, 22 counties have applied to reopen on Friday. As we take a look at this map, all the counties in yellow currently have their application to reopen under review. That's including Lane County. Others in our region include Douglas, Deschutes, and Lynn. Oregon Health Authority will determine whether each county meets the criteria to reopen. Counties in the Portland metro area have not applied to reopen yet. Coos County Commissioners resubmitted their application for reopening after getting some requests from their last application. On Friday, the commissioners received notice that they needed to remove the guidelines they created for businesses and submit certifications from local hospitals. By 10 o'clock this morning, all of the hospitals had turned in the necessary documents.
Coquille Valley Hospital, Southern Coos General, and Bay Area Hospital, certifying that they had at least a 14-day supply of personal protective equipment on hand or adequate supply pipelines that they could achieve that level if need be.
Cribbins expects Coos County to be in the initial wave of counties approved for reopening. Coos County is currently waiting on the governor's office to see if they meet certain criteria for the application to be sent to the Oregon Health Authority for review. Now, if counties are approved by state leaders to enter phase one on May 15th, what exactly does that look like? Well, restaurants and bars will have limited sit-down options. Salon and gyms would open with restrictions, and in-person gatherings up to 25 people will be allowed. Again, some requirements they need to meet include declining case numbers, the ability to contact trace, and sufficient PPE. Now, what exactly are some of those changes that restaurants and bars will start to see if in Oregon, if counties are approved to start phase one on Friday? Well, let's take a look at a breakdown. First off, tables must be spaced out at least 6 feet apart so distancing is maintained between parties and when customers approach or leave tables. All employees are required to wear cloth masks or disposable coverings provided by their employer, and all on-site consumption of food and drink will end by 10 p.m. Now, also, how will these changes look for personal services like salons and barbers? Well, we'll break that down as well. A health check is required, as well as maintaining a customer log for appointments or pre-appointments. All magazines and newspapers from waiting areas must be removed. Wearing a face covering is required for employees and clients, but this depends on the service. And of course, 6 feet of physical distancing between the clients. Now, nearly 5,000 people have signed a petition to keep hands-on professionals out of phase one reopening in Oregon. We spoke with a local salon owner who signed the petition because she doesn't think it's safe for stylists or clients. She fears allowing salons to open would affect hairstylists that choose not to return to work.
We're no longer eligible to get any sort of benefit from the PUA or any of these other sources that we've all been diligently applying for. And you're going to have that portion of your clients that get impatient and go elsewhere. So you run the risk of losing additional business because you're waiting for safety.
She adds she doesn't think it's financially possible for many hairstylists to remain open at low capacity. Taking a look now at where the coronavirus numbers currently stand in Oregon. The Oregon Health Authority announced 51 new cases, 7 presumptive cases, and 3 deaths. This brings Oregon to more than 3,200 cases and 130 deaths. Despite those numbers, there are less than 100 patients in intensive care and on ventilators. Numbers in our region remain fairly low compared to counties to the north. Benton County added 2 cases. That makes their total at 49. Lynn County added another case. They now have 103. Here in Lane County, we have 60 cases. Deschutes County remains at 86. Meanwhile, Douglas County stands still with 24 cases. There have only been 1 case reported then in the last 21 days. 22 people have recovered there. There are 30 cases in Coos County, most at the Shutter Creek Correctional Institution. Governors of the Western States Pact are requesting $1 trillion from the federal government, this to avoid making deep cuts to services like public health, safety, and education. This money will provide relief to state and local governments to make up for revenue losses so far throughout the pandemic. Again, Oregon, Washington, California, Colorado, and Nevada are working together in reopening their economies as part of the Western States Pact. Oregon primary elections are coming up next Tuesday, so make sure you mail in your ballots. Now let's break down some of what you will find in your ballot. There are races in the 4th and 5th congressional districts. Oregonians will elect a Republican candidate to move on to the November election for U.S. Senate. There is also a race for Secretary of State and Oregon State Senate in District 1. Here in Eugene, you will find 7 candidates for Eugene Mayor, Eugene City Councilor candidates for Wards 1, 2, 7, and 8, Eugene Water and Electric Board Commissioner candidates for Wards 1 and 8, 2 and 3, and 6 and 7. Voters will find Measure 20-306. In that measure, LCC would use bond dollars to address safety projects identified in the facilities plan. Meanwhile, in Springfield, voters will find candidates for Springfield Mayor as well as Springfield City Council for Ward 3 and 6. If you haven't already mailed in your ballot, there are a few things to keep in mind. Lane County Elections has received about 11% of the ballots so far. The election is running like normal with vote by mail, meaning that you can either drop or mail in your ballot or drop off your ballot to vote.
We are seeing and hearing across different states throughout the country that they're possibly pursuing or have gone that route, and I just am feeling very fortunate that Oregon has been in that realm for a number of years now.
Again, you can drop off your ballot at any of the 20 drop box locations by 8 p.m. next Tuesday evening. Well, coming up on your only local news at 5:30, an expo fair for veterans in Coos County will see some changes, how organizers are helping veterans from home.